But welcome back and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Normally, my friend Nancy Jackson is here and is I always say she's the better half of this show. But unfortunately, if you've been listening and watching the show, you know that Nancy has not been well. And so we love all the well wishes that you've given for Nancy. Keep them coming because we make her aware of them and she really, really appreciates it. It's been a tough time and a tough year for her, but we're hoping that she feels better soon, and we're sending her our love. And I know that you guys are sending it as well. And hopefully, you know, there's a chance that she'll be back with us next week. And if not, she'll be back with us definitely next year. Next Wednesday, we are having a show, but we've got a lot of really special stuff that's going to be happening next Wednesday. We won't have Dr. Grant Bichet, but we've got a couple of great guests. And this Monday, we are going to actually be live on Monday at 11 a.m. with a really special hour where we are going to be taking on the safety of riding in cars with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. We are going to have a special guest who is going to be in the studio with us from the Conveyed company, talking about their car seats, and they are going to have an expert joining us via Skype who is going to go through some of the different things we need to be aware of in the car and why these car seats are so particularly fabulous. I will tell you that I've had a wonderful time in the last week talking with them on the phone. How we got connected with them. You know that I'm on the board of directors of Autism Care and Treatment Today, which is Nancy Jackson is the executive director of that wonderful organization. It's a charity that gives grants to families for the things that they request. So there are several times during the year where families write in and there's a lot of paperwork they have to do and a lot of documentation, and they say, here's what I'm asking for and why I'm asking for it. And the difficult part is that Act Today never has enough money to be able to grant all of, and they're all amazing. It's horrifying, you guys, having to pick. But there are some requests that come that rip us all right down to the ground. And there was one request in particular that came in that, oh my gosh, from a mom who has many children and many children with different issues, but one child who's on the spectrum and cannot ride in a car because he is unsafe and gets out of his typical car seat, you know, the one that you just go and buy at the general store. Not good enough sometimes for our kids. And this is a 4-year-old who's just getting bigger, and it's just going to get harder. And it really touched something in me because she was talking about the fact that she has to pull over sometimes on the freeway and how dangerous it is. And he gets out of his car seat and is on the floor, and she fears for her life, for his life, and for her other kids. And as each day goes by and he gets bigger, we can all relate, right? I read the letter from her and was so moved. And we had 2 card offices that said, we want to raise money for this car seat because there just hasn't been enough money in these difficult times. And that's why we always encourage you, if you've got time or money, donate to Act Today or have a lemonade stand or do a fundraiser, because it all matters, right? So we had 2 offices that were working hard to do a fundraiser to kind of adopt this grant. And they had written to us and said, you know, we're getting there, but we're just not quite there, and we wanted to make sure that this family got the car seat. And we looked to see which specific car seat she was requesting, and it was Conveyed, a car seat called the Carrot, and I had never heard of it before. So we called the company and said, can you help us? And we read them the letter, and they said, not only are we going to help you, we're going to give her the car seat, which is wonderful in so many different ways, because then the money that was raised gets to go to another grant. So another child gets to be helped from this. This family gets their car seat. We were so intrigued as we looked at the features of the car seat to see, why did the mom pick this car seat? What's so great about it? And I went, oh my gosh, this car seat is amazing. Let's do a feature on it. We've got to do a feature on this, because I don't think if I don't know about it, I'm assuming there's other people out there that don't know about it. And it's a car seat that grows with your child, because I know we bought a car seat, and then we bought another car seat, and then we bought another car seat, right? And then my son was too big. And fortunately, at the time that my son was too big, we were far enough in card services that my son was doing well enough that we could go to just a regular booster and then go to the regular car and being in a seatbelt. But that's not everybody's story. And for our kids who get significantly taller and are bigger and sometimes are self-injurious, and there's other people in the car, right? So thrilled. We're going to be doing that special feature on Monday at 11 o'clock. And then I believe we're going to be replaying it again on Wednesday instead of Ask Dr. Doreen, because it's that important to me. That people have ways of keeping their kids safe in their cars. So wanted to give a shout out about that. So that's kind of what's going on. But then we also, on Wednesday, next Wednesday, we'll be doing Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. And we've got a great guest, a young man who's on the spectrum who is a cook and has his own cooking show on YouTube, and you're going to love it. And his mom will be here with him to we'll maybe have some holiday recipes. So that will be our last show of the year, though. I just want to put that in your calendar, and then we won't be back until the second week of January, because guess what I'm doing in the first week of January? We might put out a little bit of live on Facebook Live, but I can tell you now, finally, I'm getting to go to NASA with Temple Grandin. My son and I went to NASA last year on a trip to, we were in Dallas to meet with Temple Grandin, and we did that video with her in the car with the Maker magazine. And we took her to the airport. She went on to her stuff, and we were telling her, we're going to NASA in 2 days. We went to NASA and had the most amazing tour of NASA. And while we were there, and we were having the VIP tour because we met some amazing people through the autism community to be able to do that. It was life-changing. Okay, I'm just going to say that. And while we were there, we were talking about Dr. Grandin, and as a gift, we had Temple sign some cows, and from time to time, we've given the cows away for special things. But so we gave the flight director, one of the flight directors of the space station, a signed cow. And we said, boy, Temple was so envious that we were coming, and I'll bet she would have loved this tour. And he said, well, if next time you talk to her, invite her. We'd love to have her be a guest. And so it's taken us like 9 months to be able to work, but we're going to NASA with Temple Grandin. And we are going to film, and we cannot be live. But we might get just, like a short live thing before we go in, but then we are getting some actual film. I know, it's exciting. If you have questions for Temple that you want answered, send them. And we might have more news about something live. We'll keep you posted on that. So that's what's on the agenda. And then we'll be back the week after that. But let's dig in with some news, shall we? Oh, and let me just tell you that a little bit later on in the show, we're going to have Tyler McNamara. I don't know whether it's McNamara or McNamara. And he is going to be with us. He is 18 years old, on the spectrum. He's an author and an inspirational speaker, and on the spectrum, and an amazing young man. So he's going to be with us talking about his new book. So that will be coming up in just a while. But first, in the news, I want to start with a Rutgers study that is a very interesting study and all over the internet today. They have examined MRI images of more than 1,000 people with autism, and now say that we've all been talking about micro movements for a while, but they are saying that this is an ignored symptom of autism, and that it might be much bigger than we previously had thought. They're saying that and I want to get Elizabeth Torres, who's an associate professor of psychology, who has written the article about her research, and it's been published in Nature Scientific Reports. She says that the person doesn't even know that they're doing these micro movements, and they may not be visible to the naked eye, but they end up interfering with the nervous system because they're random noise. And I think that that's a really interesting way of looking at this. She says that when a person starts taking medication for autism, that there are some cases where it might be helpful, but there are also cases where it makes it worse. And I think that that's a really important thing for parents to know as well, and for individuals on the spectrum to know when they're making decisions about whether to take medication. She goes on to say that she doesn't believe that these movements are causing autism, but they are certainly worthy of investigation, which I think all can agree on. Micro movements, these really tiny, and for those of you who have kids who have seizures, imagine if there were little tiny, and it's not seizure activity, but it's tiny movements that they aren't able to stop. And she goes on to say that they put folks in the MRI and that they were instructed not to move. And she said, and that's impossible. Everybody moves. We breathe. We have a heartbeat, digestion. That's all motion. So she was perplexed by how much movement there was with individuals. And she says she learned that evidence of micro movements is routinely scrubbed from images to eliminate any blurs that they cause. She next looked at the scrub data, the very stuff that usually is discarded, for more than 1,000 MRI patients who had an autism diagnosis. She discovered they show far more motion than normal, a nearly constant barrage of signals that can overwhelm the brain. That matches what autism parents have told her over the years. It's as though my body has a mind of its own, the kids say. When I tell my body where to go, it takes the scenic route. It takes my body too long to get there. Her response is, it's not that you're dumb, it's that you're trying to do what a typical person brain does so quickly. Science is stuck in researching what is the cause of autism. She said, we should be asking, what can we do to improve the lives of these people? And perhaps if we can quiet these micro movements, it might be easier to focus. Interesting, right? We'll be reporting more on that in the future. Now, this is some devastating news that has happened here in the Southern California area. We're talking about another student in San Bernardino who lost his life this week on a school bus heading home. He was an 18-year-old student on the autism spectrum in the San Bernardino area. He was coming home from his school, which is Bright Futures Academy in Riverside. They were on the way home, and apparently Anthony Corona, the young gentleman who died, it was around 6:30 at night on a Friday evening. The San Bernardino Police Lieutenant Mike Madden said there was some kind of disturbance involving one of the students who was being transported on the bus. It caused the bus driver to actually exit the freeway hastily. The police have said that Corona, who has had outbursts in the past, and then another student tried to step in to help, and that student ended up getting hurt. The bus driver and two aides then worked to restrain Corona. While they were trying to calm this student and get the situation under control, he apparently went limp. He was not breathing. They called for support, and he was transported to the hospital where he was declared deceased. Now, the school district has said that everyone followed safety protocols when this happened. And this is one of those conversations that is maddening to me, because we hear this kind of thing and the school says, well, we followed the safety protocols. Well, I'm here to say that if that's true and you followed the safety protocols, then the safety protocols aren't working. Because if a young person who is 18 years old can die while you're following the safety protocols, then those safety protocols are a word that I'm too much of a lady to mention. You know what this is my new thing. You know, every year we get to the end of the year and we talk about New Year's resolutions. And I'm telling you right now that I'm making it my life's business in the coming year and the coming years, because I don't think we're going to get there in 1 year. It's this big of a deal to me that we need to make sure that we give the proper training to people who work with our kids in school settings and surrounding school settings. Now, there's been a lot of discussion over the last couple of days about, let's point fingers and let's blame, and people saying don't blame the staff, and this is a hard thing, And I get that. This is hard for everyone. And we need to give people tools. I don't know what happened on that bus, but I am here to tell you we have to stop this. People have to be trained, and then they have to follow through with the training, and we need to have checks and balances. You cannot just tell me we followed the safety protocols. What are you saying? Then it's not safe for children with autism to be on a bus. It's not safe for an 18-year-old because technically he's an adult. It's not safe for an adult to be transported. That can't be. That cannot be, and we cannot settle for that. We won't settle for that. I'm not suggesting that we continue to have people be in harm's way. If we know that people are going to have outbursts, we know that there's going to be a moment when something happens, we have to give training, and that training is available. It is available. And I put this out on Facebook, and I put this out right here. If you are a person who works with kids, whether it be in a classroom, or you're one of the lunch ladies in the cafeteria, or you're working on a bus, or you're on an aide. For the longest time, we have said to the schools, get them the training. And I have, and so many other people have beat our heads against the wall offering schools training. And for whatever reason, they're saying, oh, we don't need it. I've heard that. Or we already had training. We already, whatever. I can't, and I've offered free training. Schools aren't going to do it. And I've given up on that. We're moving to the side of that. If you can't get through the problem that way, let's go another way. If you are an individual working in a school, you owe it to yourself and to every kid that you interact with to make sure that you get the proper training, because you know how this is going to go. They're going to get a little bit further down the path. And at some point, they're going to figure out something went wrong, and they're going to blame the people on the bus. The school's not going to take the big rap for this. The person who was there who didn't have the right training is going to take the rap for this. Don't let that be you. Write to me, and I will tell you where to go to get training, and we'll work it out so that you can get that training. Don't let a child or an adult die because you didn't know what to do and because you were waiting for the school to tell you what to do. I don't think they're going to tell you. I can put you in touch with the people who will get you ready so that your job will be easier and people will be safe around you, and this won't happen to you. All right? All right. That's all I have to say on that matter. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I've totally lost track of what time it is. Yes, when we come back, we've got a special guest, Tyler McNamara, is going to be with us, and he is going to be talking about his new book and what he does to raise awareness and to raise hope for the autism community. So stick with us.
Potty training is different for every child. A child could come in with absolutely, no control over their bladder, and as long as that's not a medical issue, then we can certainly approach it behaviorally and give them the tools they need to be successful, just like any other skill that we would teach.
Well, we think he's learning to pee on the potty. No big successes yet, and lots of accidents. Here is the laundry from today.
For some of our kids takes, just a couple days. And then for other kids, it can take months and months and months. And then when you're looking at complete independence, it can take years.
Hey, you have to go pee-pee?
There's a lot of different ways to tell if a child is ready. We look for a couple different things. Probably the most important is parents saying, I need this to happen, I'm ready. Second is, a child showing interest in the bathroom, and some of it is simply age. It's time to go ahead and work on this.
What are you doing? Pooping. You're pooping?
You first start with teaching the child what they need to do on the toilet. The basic thing we want is for them to drink as much liquid as possible. It's inevitable that if you drink a bunch of liquid, you're gonna pee.
Help. No, I can't help you pee. Help. I can hold your hand, but I can't help you pee.
Ultimately, what we want is that, the child, as soon as they're put on the toilet, they urinate. So that's step one. Step two is usually working through the amount of time that they're off of the toilet and making sure that they're not having accidents during the time that they're off. So this is kind of the bladder control stage of things.
So the purpose of the potty log is just to see how long it takes them as soon as they sit on the potty for them to actually urinate. and the amount of time that he's able to hold his urine. And with the log, we're able to visually see how long it takes them each time, and if they have accidents or not. He's on a half-hour potty schedule, so if he doesn't go when we take him, then we have to take him in 10 more minutes. So every 10-minute intervals until he does go, and then we reset the clock, and it's 30 minutes again.
Okay, buddy. Okay, last chance to go pee-pees. Do we reset it for 10?
Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, Jack? It's potty time. We can come play after. Hurry.
What we hope happens in this time is that the kids will learn how to initiate going to the bathroom on their own. This is oftentimes the hardest part of potty training, is because they get so used to somebody telling them when they need to go that they're not really recognizing the signs just in their own body of when they need to go.
Oh, he wet himself.
Uh-oh. Big wet?
Was it a lot? We can reset to half an hour now.
The biggest thing for parents is not to give up. The other big tip, and I think pitfall that a lot of parents fall into, is putting their children back into pull-ups or diapers, especially if they're starting to have accidents. And this is probably the worst thing that you can do. They need to recognize that feeling of fullness in their bladder and take themselves to the bathroom, or tell an adult that they need to go to the bathroom.
What do you have to do? You have to put your pee-pee in the potty. Okay, give it a shot. See if you can put it in there. There you go. You're doing it. Yay, Jack.
Big prayer for your pee-pee.
Big pee-pee.
Yay! Woo! Yay! Good job.
What a big boy!
High five! High five! High five! High five! High five! High five! High five!
Welcome back. So exciting when they get the reward and it happens and they feel that self-esteem of what happens. Again, that's the A Word. That whole series is available to you and you can watch that. I wanted to take a quick second before we have our guest to answer a couple of questions that we've had come in. Somebody on YouTube wrote it in and said, can mild autism cause problems in adult life? Yes. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to. And it really depends on what the issue is, because when we say mild autism, that could mean so many different things. For instance, if it's a flexibility issue, all the different areas of your life, that can present a difficulty with finding and keeping a job. It can present a difficulty being in a romantic relationship. It can cause difficulty eating out. But these kinds of things are surmountable with the right help and support. I think one of the things that makes me break out into hives most often is that people will often say to an individual who's on the spectrum, or to a parent of somebody who's on the spectrum, but it's so mild, they don't need help and support. And that is exactly the wrong thinking. That when you're dealing with things that are mild and are not taking over your whole life, but it's just enough that your life would work so much better if this one aspect wasn't a problem. Oh my gosh, getting just a little bit of help and intervention can really turn things around. And here's what's great about with adults is that the types of interventions are vast. And it's not, we tend to say intensive ABA therapy with the younger kids because we know exactly where they're behind and exactly how to get them on board and get them caught up. For adults, it's vastly different. That a lot of times cognitive behavioral therapy is amazing and can really, there are things like phobias or flexibilities or perseverations. I myself have had cognitive behavioral therapy and been so helped by it. But there are other kinds of therapies too, depending on what the issue is. So, it can affect your adult life, but it doesn't have to. Get help and support. Write into us with specifics so that we can help you to figure out where, and if you want to, tell us where you are in addition to what you need so we can help to refer you to some areas that might be able to help you. Now, the other question that somebody wrote in on Facebook was, can you say the vitamins and supplements that the person wrote in about in the last segment slower? Now, I do want to asterisk here that this was a parent in India who wrote in and said the doctor had prescribed a bunch of supplements for her specific child, and that she wasn't sure she wanted to do them. They were very expensive, and that her husband was like, I don't know, are these really going to be helpful and useful? So these were prescribed for a specific child, but these are great things to talk to your doctor about to see if they would be helpful to you or to your child. So I'm going to say these again slowly. Vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B6, folinic acid, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that one, zinc, magnesium, coenzyme 10, and glycine. That those were the things that were prescribed for her specific child that she was looking to get. Now, the folinic acid, we want to make sure, because a lot of people go, oh, you mean folic acid. If you're thinking about using this, make sure that you watch what the show that we did about what the MTHFR. Because MTHFR is a very specific thing in autism, and you don't want to be switching between those two. Watch the video, because we have a doctor who explains about that. Folinic acid and folic acid are not the same, and for some people, if you have an MTHFR gene deletion, you will not want to do the folic acid. It could actually make things worse for you. But I'm not a doctor, don't take my word for it. Watch the video that we did with I'm trying to think, and his name completely escaped my mind. What the MTHFR, watch that. Okay, now we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with our very special guest, Tyler, and I'm saying his name wrong, Mick Namer, maybe. All right, stick with us. I'm going to get it right. He's going to tell me. He's going to school me on how to say it. We'll be right back.
It's every parent's desire for their child to have a great start in life. Yet there is a condition affecting more children's lives than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. Autism strikes 1 in every 150 children.
Today, 1 in 110 kids in the U.S. will be diagnosed with autism. That is a huge jump from 30 years ago when it was 1 in 30,000.
Startling new report finds the number of children with autism is skyrocketing. The Centers for Disease Control estimates 1 in 68 children has a form of autism. Now that's a 30% increase in just 2 years.
Well, a lot of this is with all the accomplishments over the last 20 years. I'm thrilled.
I think what kept me was the feeling that, you know, I would have a parent come to my office late at night at UCLA and just fall apart. And this is a long time ago, and there were much less back then in terms of services and knowledge and so on. And I would just sit with the family and the parents and walk them through and try to take away some of their fears, you know. And at that point I realized, I think the thing that's actually most important to me is that process. I mean, thank God that I've been very, very lucky and blessed to have so many incredible clinicians join me along the way and just develop CARD in such an amazing, magnificent way. That I could, you know, for me it was more really about how can I help the families? What can I do for the moms, the dads, you know? It is just, and I feel like, you know, there's no way I would ever really know because I haven't had my own child go through this, but I've experienced it with people a lot of times.
Hi, this is Megan. I'm in 1st grade all by myself. My teachers are so fabulous. I like to read books. I like to go to my friends' birthday parties. I like to invite my friends to my birthday parties. I once had a sleepover with a friend. I like to have play dates with my friend. I'm the best reader in my class. I like to go to the library. I like to read different series of books.
Currently, in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism, my beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're gonna take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Grandpichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable and recovery from autism is possible.
It's always fun, because whenever someone asks, I run away in fear.
We're Asperger's or Us. It's true, we're the first comedy troupe composed of people on the autism spectrum.
So if we're not funny, blame it on Ethan's disability. You should come to what might be our last ever show.
We'll be able to do material that we've worked on but haven't performed yet, and also it'll be really, really silly.
We want to sell out Earth.
This is definitely the most challenging show we've had.
We want aliens to come to the show and be turned away because it's full.
There's parts that are screwed up, there's parts the audience doesn't get.
But we're realistic, so if the aliens get in, that's okay too.
It's gonna be a disaster. It's going to be...
Start thinking this way.
I was born this way.
I've been more stressed than I have been in the past.
We're hypersensitive because something's irritating us from the inside.
I'm saying that I feel upset.
All of this stuff that's hard, that's difficult for us, this is what we get for starting Asperger's R Us.
I asked. I'm not talking about you. I want you guys to leave. I just want it to be done now.
It's a lonely, lonely world.
This is my diagnosis, the actual time I got diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and I skipped home because I felt freer than I ever had. It explained everything that had ever happened to me that didn't make sense.
When you have Asperger's, you can do things that are really, really great. Not in spite of having autism, but through it.
Doing really good, dude. I'm really happy that we're in this troupe together.
Me too.
And the rabbi interrupts him and says, sorry to cut you off.
These guys are my best friends. I don't really have anything bad to say.
This gazebo has the stupidest sign, because what the hell else are you gonna do in a gazebo? I'm a rebel without a cause, baby.
Absolutely love that movie, and we want to encourage you guys. I saw the other day that they posted that they are now on Netflix. We had told you that it was coming, and so that's now you can get it on Amazon. It's available on Netflix, and it's also on iTunes. So watch Asperger's or Us. In the new year, we're hoping to bring you, Alex Plank has agreed to be the interviewer to interview the 4 guys, which I think, I want a front row seat to that interview. So we're looking forward to that. Now, for those of you who are keeping track, we're not giving up. Our guest, Tyler McNamer, we are hoping to get him on, technology. We are on iTunes. We are right now live on our webpage. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And now we're just trying to get Skype to play along, and Samantha's handling that and talking with Tyler's people, and we'll get that all straightened out. But while he's doing that, I want to just recap for those of you who are watching that normally we have Nancy Alspaugh Jackson here with us, and she is not here with us today. She has been ill, and it's at the point where she really seriously has to take care of herself. And so thank you for all your well wishes for her, and keep them coming in. She needs your good thoughts right now, and she's going to be fine, but she sure needs your good thoughts. In the meantime, though, I have been having such an amazing time with Wyatt that has been a really fun thing. We got to go to Universal Studios this last Sunday with our good friend Spencer Hart, who's been here on the show. Spencer is on the spectrum and it sings beautifully, sings opera. Recently sang at the White House. Oh, come on. Like, how exciting is that? And also went on a trip to China, got to go to China and sing for the Chinese government in China. No small thing. So she's her own little rock star, and what a treat she is. So we went with her and her mom, and Wyatt and my son were there as well. And what a great time that we had at the amusement park. But it reminded me, because my son is a little bit older now, and sometimes they get older and you forget. And we hadn't been to an amusement park in a little while, about some of the things that you need to do to be ready when you're going on a trip or going on an outing or going someplace. And it reminded me, because I tend to do things for my kid and I forget about because you meet one person with autism, you meet one person with autism. We had 3 young people that were under the age of 17 there, and they were all different, right? And they needed different things, and it was very eye-opening to me, and it reminded. So I want to take just a minute to do a refresher course on some things to be thinking about. One of the things that we should all take with us if we're going to an amusement park is snacks. Because being able to find the things that were dietary appropriate at a moment's notice, like if we could have trekked all the way across the park, we could get to the gluten-free for one of them, and we could trek here to get the dairy-free, but not where we were ever. So packing snacks that get you from one place to the other, and make sure that they're lightweight snacks. Another thing that you make sure that you do, pack some kind of noise reduction thing. It can be as simple as those little orange plugs when you're at something that you can just pull out, lightweight, fabulous. And make sure that you look at the map beforehand so that you're up on where to go and when to go, and you'll have a much better time. Now, I'm told that we have Tyler on Skype now. So we're not going to go to a break, right, Samantha? We're just going to cut in and short break. All right, and then we're going to be back. Stick with us. Welcome back to Autism Live. We're really excited because Samantha's got Skype all in order, and we have joining us via Skype Tyler McNamer. Did I get that right now, your name finally?
You got it right.
All right, fabulous. And Tyler is 22. I've been telling everybody he's 18, but he's 22. But he is an amazing author and an inspirational, motivational speaker. His book is Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. Tyler, thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start with, where can people get the book?
Well, people can get the book in one of two things. One thing is the easy part, where you get it on Amazon. That's the easy part. But the second part is that you can get it on my website at population1.com. And what's really special about ordering from my website is that they all get a little signed copy for when they receive it.
All right, so if you order from there, you're going to get a signed copy, which would make a tremendous gift in this holiday season, a signed copy of Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. And who better to hear about that from than somebody who has a diagnosis on the autism spectrum. You were diagnosed at the age of 2. You learned to overcome challenges and embrace the unique perspective that you could offer the world, and that's what the book is about. We love hearing about this. One of the quotes that we have from you, you say, "I have been blessed with autism my entire life. I have chosen to accept my label of autism not as a disability, but as an extraordinary ability. Knowing that this viewpoint could help those who struggle with being different, you have decided to write the book and inspire others." And we love this. You speak, you are available for speaking engagements, and I guess that people can have you speak at their engagement by going to the website, population1.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So Tyler, let's talk a little bit about, because we don't get as many opportunities as we would like to talk to somebody who is your age and has gotten through the challenges and have found the way to be positive. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about what some of those challenges were. I'm sure that you were bullied at some point. How did you handle bullies, and what advice do you give to young people who are currently being bullied?
Well, bullying is definitely a no fun thing. I never really say, oh, I hate the bullies and stuff like that. I don't really say that. I just hate the act of a bullying. There's kind of a big difference. When I was younger, I thought they were the same, but no, when I was in middle school or high school, they're completely different things. So one things I would like to do, when it comes to bullying is that you always, count on your teachers or the adults, because, when I was in school, those were pretty much, like my closest friends back in the day too, were just a bunch of these adults and teachers. And, feeling like, since they're so big and tall, I can trust them, saying, hey, this kid's giving me a hard time. I don't know what to do, that kind of stuff. And I always say that never be afraid to tell a teacher or your parents when it comes to this kind of stuff. And actually, one thing I did make very clear one time. This was actually very recent. I was very afraid to tell my dad, is that back in YMCA, it was a pretty terrible time. I didn't really quite, like that place. I was bullied, and the teachers didn't really help as much, and I didn't really tell my dad about this whole thing. The reason why I didn't do that is because I was afraid, saying, "Oh man, this would be a waste of money, and I should stay at this YMCA so that Dad doesn't have to, stress out about finance and such." But that was just me back in the day. So my advice is, don't worry about that and stuff. You gotta worry about yourself, worry about your safety, because no one deserves that kind of bullying treatment. And
that's great advice, Tyler, because I think a lot of times as parents, we just hope that our kids would tell us, and how great is it for us to hear from you that sometimes you guys don't want to tell us things because you're afraid of what we'll think about the money situation.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Great advice to give to the teens. Make sure that you tell an adult. And if you're telling the teachers and the teachers aren't listening, make sure you're telling your parents. And great information for us to hear as parents, that sometimes you won't want to tell us something because you're afraid of what it will mean in terms of all the other things that you've heard us talking about, the money things. So I love that. And Tyler, let's transition a little bit to transitioning, because a lot of people are afraid of that period of time when school is over. They call it the cliff, because it's, you know, figuring out what to do once the services stop. So what was it like for you leaving high school and making that transition to adulthood? Because you've done a great job.
Yeah, thanks. Just a little quick add-in with the whole bullying thing.
Sure.
Is that you know, it takes some real courage and some real, you know, it takes a really tough kid to actually stand up and you know, just tell adults about what's going on. You know, don't be afraid to, you know, it takes courage, you know, to tell adults.
Absolutely.
Just gotta put that out. So transitioning from you know, high school to adulthood, I'll be honest, it was pretty scary. It's a really scary thing. I'm not gonna lie. Not only because I didn't really know what to do and stuff too, because, you know, I got the book thing all taken care of, and so, you know, I was thinking of, you know, going to the bookstore as a part-time job. I felt like, you know, I got a good gig and such, and I even kind of wrote a little short story about, you know, end of school crisis, I called it, which is about, you know, oh man, school's gonna be over. You know, I'm not gonna see these familiar faces again. By familiar faces, I mean, like, you know, teachers and students, and, you know, the whole familiarity of the whole school itself. You know, it's scary. You don't know what's going to happen next and such. So after graduation, I, you know, go to this place called it's called Adult Living Program, and that's the part where they say, hey, you need some extra help on getting a little head start on how to get a job and, you know, pay bills, or you know, that kind of stuff. You know, living on your own, that kind of stuff, that kind of thing. I had kind of a little bit to help on that kind of stuff. At first, I was thinking, oh man, this is ridiculous too. I thought I couldn't handle this by myself, but no, I kind of accepted the help, and it became a huge asset when it comes to doing that and doing community college at the same time.
And I think, Tyler, you know, one of the things I see in you is that you have been so successful in part because you have utilized what services that were available and said, I might need help with this, I might need support with that. Let's talk a little bit about anger, because I'm sure that you, like everybody else, has frustration sometimes, and because communication at one point was something that was a little bit more challenging for you. What strategies did you use to calm yourself down and to deal with the frustration, and how do you deal with anger today?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you, you know, because anger was definitely a big challenge, you know, throughout my, you know, when I was a toddler, and, you know, childhood, teenhood, and all that kind of stuff. You know, it was pretty tough. You know, you know, I always kind of say that, you know, feel free to ask me what it's like to be a freak, right? And yeah, but yeah, it was pretty tough. You know, anger was just one of those things that just kind of, you know, gets you when people just don't understand you, or that people are trying to, you know, speak very slowly so you understand, that kind of stuff. You know, that was really tough. It was no fun. So one of the strategies I would do, and this has happened, you know, for a long time during my school years, is that I would, you know, find an appropriate time to take a break, which means that you gotta find like a dark corner, or someplace that's dark, or some place that's you know, quiet, very spacey, and so, you know, so I would just go to a, you know, dark corner, and I would say, you know, stand up straight with a straight back, and then close my eyes, and then do some deep breathing, and that's one of the main things that I would usually do. Even today, I'd still, you know, I'd take the time for a little time out, and you know, and when things get pretty challenging, and there's no like dark places or dark corners or anything like that too, and you're in the middle of something, then you just like take at least 5 seconds, to straight back, just take one big deep breath, and then just exhale just slowly, and that's what I usually do, and then you're easily recharged when it comes to anxieties and knowing how to go through this peacefully as well.
Great advice for all of us, Tyler. I don't think there's a single one of us who couldn't take, that advice and use it to our benefit, to take a break, to go to a place where there's not a lot of sensory stuff and take a breath and take a moment and center ourselves. Amazing. And this is one of the reasons why people should get your book, which is Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed, or why they should reach out to you to have you speak at one of their events. And they can go to population1.com to find out more information about the book. If you order it from Population 1, you will get a signed copy. If you go on Amazon, you can get a copy of it as well, but you're not going to get a signed one. And that doesn't make it as good of a gift as it would be if you had Tyler's signature in it. And unfortunately, we're out of time, Tyler, but I wanted to say before we left that you are currently working on your second book and a screenplay. When do we think we're going to know more about those?
Well, the second book is going to be a spiritual successor to the first book. I even came up with a title of it. It's called Joining Population 1.
Join Population 1. Well, we can't wait to hear more about that, Tyler. We are full on out of time. Samantha's playing me off here. But Tyler, we thank you so much. Again, check out the first book, Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. You can get it on Amazon.com, but better solution to go to population1.com, order it there, and then you'll get a signed copy, and you can read more about Tyler and what he is doing as a motivational speaker. Tyler, you're such a joy. I thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for letting me be on the show. This is a grand pleasure. Thank you.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you so much, Tyler. Bye-bye for now.
All right, take care now.
Take care. Bye-bye. And just in closing here, we've just got a little less than a minute left. I just want to talk about tomorrow's show because it's our last Thursday of the year for Autism Live. I can't believe it's all, we're putting 2016 to bed. Couple of things that I want to let you know about tomorrow. The Festival of Toys continues. You see that we have the Lux Blocks. We've got an interview with Lux Blocks coming up tomorrow. We're going to be talking about some toys from Learning Resources that are really amazing. And we have sort of our bookend here. We kind of started everything with Astra, the Association of Toy Stores of America. I think that's what Astra stands for. And we are going to have Kim Moynihan back, and she's going to talk about, you would not believe the toys that are on my desk. Before we go, I promised that we were going to talk a little bit. We have to do a big farewell and a sad farewell to Alan Thicke, an amazing artist. He was a talk show host first, and then became all of our dads on Growing Pains. And what you may not know is that Alan Thicke was a huge supporter of Act Today. He attended Denim and Diamonds and was always somebody who was willing to give a helping hand when he could. This is a huge loss for everyone, but most especially for his family. We are devastated and so young as well. Just a tearful goodbye to Alan Thicke and a thank you from the autism community for everything that you did for us. I know that Nancy Alspaugh Jackson would especially want to thank Alan for all the work that he did for Act Today. You will be so, so missed.